Hello, wonderful person. This is Anton, and today we're going to be
I'm
discussing
ready.
the incredible year for science when it comes to research on black holes that
Amazing
happened in
thing, you know you're
2021.
gonna hit with
In other
something
words, we're
coming
going to
on
be
here.
reviewing
There's a
some of the
good
major
way
findings
to
from
do the polarizing
2021
waving
in
function,
regards to various
and with
types of
Sophie
black holes
stars,
and
and so on and
various
so forth.
properties of black holes that have been found last year.
Whoa, whoa,
And
whoa, whoa,
honestly, it
whoa,
was
whoa,
an
whoa.
extremely productive year
But
for black holes. It might have not really been a very happy year for many other reasons, but when it comes to black hole research, it was pretty incredible. And so let's discuss some of these major findings and what they mean. But I guess more importantly, if you'd like to learn more about
actually,
each
we're
individual
somewhere in
study,
this area
as
right
always, you
now.
can find it
Maybe
in the
here.
description below or by watching one of the older videos that describe it in more detail. So what exactly did we find? Well, some of the first major discoveries were coming from the research behind NanoGrav, the North American Nanohertz Observatory for Gravitational Waves. And as the name
In the
implies,
way
this is a
it's made
gravitational
this
wave
way.
observatory, but instead of studying the collision between black holes, it actually analyzes the properties of various neutron
Drag.
stars, various pulsars,
Short
located
range.
all across our galaxy, and then by studying
Faraday,
the
Gauss,
gravitational
Maxwell,
waves between these
Rayleigh.
pulsars, and by essentially constructing a kind of a three-dimensional map,
Amperage,
the scientists try to figure
Amplitude,
out what's actually causing all of this and what are potential implications from all of these
Tesla,
discoveries.
and Newton,
Well, some of the discoveries
law of
suggested that
thermodynamics.
there were actually gravitational waves from what's known as the stupendously
Not
large black
created
holes.
nor destroyed,
So
it's
something
turned
that's
into
even
one of those
larger than
satellites
supermassive
with
black hole.
vector positions of
With many
paper
of
on
these
the
black holes having
timelines
mass
to what it's
in
made out of.
billions and billions masses of the sun. But no specific black
In the
hole was
way it's
identified,
a
just the
satellite,
idea
it
behind
is.
these black holes very likely existing. The
They
paper is
they
of
do
course
that.
in the description below.
They do the
Then
wave
there was
function.
also a discovery of an
Somewhere's
unusual
in here.
black hole
Where are you hiding?
that seemed to
There it
have
is.
some sort of a pattern going on. It was actually decreasing its outbursts every 114 days. And although it's not entirely clear why it was doing so, it's very likely because of some sort of a star collision that might have actually disrupted something around the black hole. Although at this point it's still not entirely certain. It's just very unusual to have a black hole with such a predictable pattern, and a pattern that
Every
seems
day,
to have no good
like,
explanation just
but,
yet.
But
Then
Sarge,
there was a
zero,
discovery
zero,
of this.
zero.
The scientists here were actually
This
looking
area,
for an
this area.
intermediate mass black hole inside a typical globular cluster.
Hydrogen
Instead, what they
here, which
discovered
makes
was
this,
a
well,
huge
it's all
number
hydrogen.
of
How
really
is
small
hydrogen
black
blue
holes
here and right
all
here?
found in the
Kill
center of the
everybody, you know.
cluster. And this was somewhat unexpected.
It's not.
So basically, it was a cluster
You wouldn't be able to see it
filled
from here, and it
with
makes
a
sense.
tremendous number
And the
of small
IH on
black holes.
optics is
A
like
cluster known as
all
NGC
hydrogen wave functions.
6397, located around 7,000 light years away from us. Then there was another surprising discovery
You know,
from
like
another
cowboy that
cluster,
comes in here like,
the cluster known as Palomar 5, that seemed to contain a huge number of
Palomar
black
5.
holes on the inside, with the black holes
Planned
representing
out, too.
a major part of the mass of the entire cluster. And this was kind of difficult to explain as well, with the only good explanation so far suggesting that the cluster was just disrupted by our galaxy, leaving behind a lot of black holes on the inside and basically removing a lot of stars and a lot of gas, which also means that it was probably some sort of a dwarf galaxy in the past. And then we'll have this map. And this is of course the iconic map created by the Australian scientists sometime last year that represents a map of black holes around the night skies. A map that's only visible in the radio light, with each of the dots representing a supermassive black hole emitting a
Well,
lot
that's
of
a good
radio
question.
light. And so
Don't
the stars
exactly
here
have it handy,
are
but
obviously
we'll
not
go
the
grab it.
stars, they're black holes. Then there were some other experiments involving analog black holes, and that's basically when you try to create something that resembles a black hole, for example using acoustic or sound
Too
waves.
much love is a good thing
And in
or a
this
bad
case,
thing.
the
Yeah.
scientists were able to once again produce Hawking radiation in this type of analog black hole. In other words, once again,
machine.
sort of proving that Hawking radiation, or radiation coming from black holes, could be real after all. We also had some major updates from the iconic M87 black hole, with scientists now being able to identify and even see
Remember
the
the ball we were
magnetic
talking about?
lines
Yeah, this one.
produced by extremely powerful magnetic
brain.
field around the black hole,
See brain on Penn's road twister
including
theory.
different twists and turns produced in the jet itself. While at the same time, the same team behind the Event Horizon
Looks
telescope
like this one I'm done.
then also saw a lot of other observations from the nearby Centaurus A galaxy, with the similar
again,
twisted jet detected
I know
there
it
as
seems
well.
like what we're doing
And
is
then there
not
were
the same
quite a
thing,
lot
but
of
this video is
discoveries when
recording
it
right
came
now.
to intermediate mass black holes. The black holes whose existence was not certain up until a few years ago.
Interesting.
And last year was
Watching your
basically
heart rate monitor
the
right
sort
now.
of definitive
Around
proof that they do exist. Several major intermediate black holes were found in various galaxies, including one that was about 91,000 masses of the Sun in the
Interesting.
nearby Andromeda
I'm
Galaxy.
going like this right now.
With the other ones
Cool.
discovered through gravitational wave analysis, but also by looking at gravitational lensing from distant objects, with many of them differing in mass as well, between about a few hundred masses of the Sun.
Well, in the
up to
way
about
that those
several
both
thousand
things
masses
are
of the Sun.
really super
And then
important.
we had the discovery of what seems to
Hey,
be
button,
the closest
toggle
black hole
switch.
to the solar system,
You behaving
at a
yourself?
distance of
Okay.
just about 1,500 light years away
Kelvin.
from us. Currently, it doesn't really have a good name, but the scientists are referring to it as the unicorn, mostly because of its uniqueness.
This
Now,
is
naturally,
you.
it's probably not the
This is
closest
me.
black hole to us, but it's the closest that we've currently confirmed to exist. Black holes obviously are difficult to find, especially if there's nothing in their orbit. So chances
can
are
grab
the
it.
scientists will find something even closer once new
Okay,
techniques
yeah.
are developed and once better telescopes
In the
are
chemistry
available to us.
lab,
Then,
in the
for
beginning,
the first
there
time
was
ever,
fundamental
we get to
analysis.
see the light coming
I'll go back
from
to it, hold
behind
on.
the black hole, as obviously predicted by various theories. But this was the first official time it
I'm
was
not
proven
right.
to come
I'm just
from
not
behind
wrong.
the black hole and not from any other region.
Isn't that what fundamental
This was actually a
the
pretty
teacher's
interesting
class
study,
in here and they'd be
and
like,
it
no, it
sort of
was,
showed
and I'd
us
be like,
what's referred
dang,
to as the light
we found it.
echoes. We've also had quite a lot of various studies involving our own central black hole,
Am I
Sagittarius
friendly?
A*.
Am I not
First of all,
friendly? I
studies
like
confirming that
Anton,
it
so
seems to be
we're
there, and
keeping
it
it.
seems to be a black hole. That's
Put
about
a little cushion in
4.1
here,
to
oil.
maybe
Yes,
4.3
oil this time.
million masses of the Sun.
Heat
But
it
also
up.
some other studies
14
explain
karat, 18
some
karat,
of the
24
mysterious
karat.
objects, such as
Change
the objects we
how
sometimes
far
refer to as the G
this
objects,
thing's gonna float.
with some of the explanations suggesting that the central black hole region seems to
Yeah, 'cause
actually
here's a
have
hadron
some kind of a
collider, right?
star formation going on,
Put all this
where
together.
then these stars are disrupted and turned into these unusual stretched objects that have been detected by the scientists in the last few years.
Well, you're
But because
calculating all
more
that out.
studies are still ongoing right now, we're going to be discovering even more about Sagittarius A star, most likely this year or possibly in the next few years as well. So I'm actually super excited to talk about these new discoveries once they come out and once they become official. By the way, one of the most recent discoveries coming from the central region was the discovery of what seems to be
You are
a
there in the
leftover
universe,
jet
going back to your
from
first
an
page.
eruption very likely a few thousand years ago, or possibly
What?
even longer
How?
than that.
Why would
And
you
this,
do
of
that
course,
to
an
your
official proof
apprentice,
that our
man?
black
Salty?
hole was
Hell.
active not so long
If you
ago,
got a couple of
and
months to
chances
sit
are
on
it's
it,
going to become
you might
active
want to
in the distant future as well.
do a
But more
different
importantly,
timeline or
it
two
gave us a
that
reason
do
to
the same
figure
thing.
out if these
Change
types
it
of
around,
activities
master
have
grade
any effect
weekly.
on,
Is
for
that a
example,
different piece of
planet
paper?
Earth. And if there are any effects, it would be a really, really huge
Do them like
discovery.
that weekly because
But
I can get a
once
week
again, more
together
about this
that
later.
way.
So
and
obviously,
a chart
make sure to subscribe.
count.
Then, a few months ago, completely by accident, the scientists discovered a completely new property of black holes. Currently, they
Side
refer to
task
it
duties
as
we haven't
quantum
got to yet
pressure.
in that training camp.
And so, even though before the
I'd
scientists
be
always
running
thought
it
that black holes have only
like it
three
would be the set.
properties,
So
mass,
where are they really
charge,
for
and spin,
putting on
now
a little
it seems
extra?
that there is a fourth one as well.
Change
Although
the
that one
fields.
is not particularly powerful.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, this particular paper, in some sense, is groundbreaking
Yes.
because finding something like this is a big deal. Basically, the black holes now have four
It
properties.
goes to
And
astrology,
speaking of
right, or
properties, the
astrophysics.
setup paper also sort of argued
Well, this
that,
is a bit of
well, because of
plasticity
the
when people get
expansion of the
talking about it.
universe, a lot
How
of ancient
the
black holes
terms
might actually be
crypto
gaining
got to
mass,
be in the right
and that's
order.
the general property
position.
of the universe itself. In other
You
words,
got a
as
geodesic
the
it.
universe expands over time,
Take one
a
of
lot
these
black
out.
holes
It
might be
still
gaining mass and
behaves
quite a lot of
like
it.
these
And
things
some of
do.
the most ancient black
Horizons
holes
of those
might
things
gain
shift
a lot of mass in the process.
quantumly
But because
by
this is a theoretical
timelines or
study
pressure
with no actual
indexes, Pendrell.
observations, we don't really know how to prove any of this just yet. The study in the description.
Well, you have to
Then, a few
program
months
that,
ago,
and then
Ligo
trial and
reported
error,
35
close,
new
close,
gravitational wave
closer,
detections,
1
with
0,
some
1 0,
somewhat
1
difficult
0.
to explain. A lot of them
I got-
were either
I got
really,
time.
really
We're
small
good.
or
We're good.
had mass difference that just was kind of difficult to comprehend. And also, these detections involved certain intermediate mass
know
black holes as well.
What
This was
way
actually, once again, a somewhat
this thing
unexpected
could
and
go
somewhat
from here,
important discovery.
honestly.
And then by
Up,
looking
down,
at
back,
the
forward.
changes in the redshift and
So
blueshift
yeah,
of various
N0
stars,
that,
the
N1
scientists
that.
have
What do you
also
mean?
found
It's like,
some
well,
unexpected black
if I
holes
put
not
these
so far
types
away
of
from us. For example, one of the
Hubble
more
or
surprising
James Webb
discoveries
gravity
was a relatively
assisted
massive black hole over 3 million masses
model,
of the Sun,
yeah,
located in
'cause
a
that's a good
nearby
one.
dwarf galaxy
I think it was his
known as
already. I don't know.
Leo
Did you already
1.
do it? I don't know.
And this is actually something nobody really expected.
Yes,
How
good.
could
That's
a
new.
dwarf galaxy that seems to possess way, way less stars and less mass than the Milky Way galaxy contain a black hole that was so ridiculously massive? This
We
particular
can frame it
question
the
has
same
no
way,
answer right
and then
now,
say like,
but it
"Whoa,
was
it's
a
not a satellite."
really cool
Nope, it's a
discovery.
planet.
Then, using a relatively similar technique, the
Nemesis.
scientists have officially confirmed the
All right,
nearest
so I'm
supermassive
off.
black hole pair to
Good
us,
news.
located